Um, how did I feel? Well, when I first received the news, I was extremely shocked, but at the same time, extremely happy. Um, I think I got the email 2 weeks into the self quarantine, so learning about this honor definitely helped uplift my spirits. That's for sure. And I would have to say, I'm extremely honored to have been selected, and this is such a great opportunity to show what I've been working on, and I'm immensely grateful for it.
When I found out that I had been one of the artists selected for the student exhibition, I had to read the email multiple times, and it would probably be better if my professor pinched me. Definitely. I was so happy that someone being Michele Grabner, who is a renowned artist, actually looked at my work and understood what I was trying to convey. So I was very pleased, and I walked around smiling about it for days.
I was quite surprised and extremely excited to have been selected for the exhibition. With so many fantastic artists applying, I wasn't so sure of my chances, but I'm very grateful for the opportunity and I can't wait to see how it looks.
I would say that my process has kind of shifted from primarily working with sculpture to more video based practice. Initially, my work focused on examining objecthood and gesture to determine what differentiates humans from tools, and I think the video kitchen table best exemplifies this. And within that video, I was trying to show this shared function that both humans and tables uh, have, which is support. And I was also trying to show the weight that each of those supports and how it's similar and different. Recently, though, I've started to become more interested and focus on the idea of art in the everyday. And so the videos in the online exhibition present these hyperbolic scenarios in which I perform and overcomplicate everyday tasks. So aside from the kitchen table video, all of the other videos in the online exhibition are part of this body of work that I've been working on for my B.F.A thesis. And this new body of work is focused on examining education's influence on how we routinely behave and how we go about our daily lives, essentially. And so the process for making this work has been very different from what I'm used to, specifically in that the body of work is going to be this series of videos. I think it's going to be about 75 videos filmed over a 25-week period starting in April, at the beginning of April to mid-September, I believe. And each of those weeks, I'm planning on filming 3 videos. And I guess in that sense, the process is really taking on this idea of incorporating art into my everyday life. And in addition, it really limits the amount of time that I have to think about or overthink what I'm going to be doing within each video. So in that sense, the process becomes more resembling of routine life, and you don't even think about what you're doing every day, you just do it. So with that in mind, the videos can often be as simple as subverting some task by reversing the way we do it, but still coming to the same outcome or completing the same thing, which is evident, I think, in the video role where I'm doing a simple gesture of just rolling, but I'm doing it up a hill instead of down a hill. So at the same time, I'm going to a different location. I'm starting from one point and ending at a different point, but the gesture and the outcome is the same. I'm still rolling and I'm still going from point A to point B. If it's not a simple gesture, or if the video is not that simple, otherwise it's going to show me omitting the objects that are used to carry out or complete the everyday task. And I would say 9.5 would be a good example of this. In the video, I was interested in the action of putting on your shoes and whether anything can be called a shoe or if anything can be a shoe. So the video presents this, I guess, metaphorical take on me wearing the world as my shoes and showing that there's really no such thing as what a shoe is. I guess there's only how you put on the shoe. I don't know. But yeah. But in a similar vein, I would say the video New Broom follows the same way of thinking. With this video, I was interested in the idea of prescribing a single function to an object, or the idea that society prescribes a single function to objects. But with this video, I'm trying to show that objects can really be used for multifunctional instances or other tasks that you would traditionally use them for. And I would say this work was influenced by the South Korean artist named Kim Bom, and specifically his piece titled Teaching a Rock It Is a Bird, and it's exactly how it sounds. So it's teaching this rock how to be a bird, and the installation is just this rock that's perched on a tree branch as if it were a bird, and there's a video that goes along with it of the artist instructing it in like a school setting of how to be a bird and how a bird behaves. So in New Broom, I'm working in conversation with Bohm and using new media like smart TVs to show this idea of multifunctionality for objects. And then I would say that the video Climb was probably the first video I did for this series. And it's interesting because the room that it was filmed in is part of a repurposed middle school that FSU has turned into studios for the B.F.A. and M.F.A. programs. So it's this weird situation in the video where I'm climbing into the ceiling and trying to escape the institutionalized belief system or institutionalized setting. And I think in that sense, I think this video helped initiate this whole current body of work.
I've always been interested in telling a story with my photography. So this series unfolded naturally as I was seeking out ways to just reveal the constructive spaces that people devise for themselves and to kind of explore what they were doing within those spaces. It's pretty amazing when you change your perspective regarding a subject, how it opens up an entirely different story or possibly a reality to what's happening in other people's lives. It's an entirely different universe that I'm looking into. So I knew that I needed another perspective, so that meant I went up. Whether it be a condo, a bridge, a parking garage, anything that was up high was fair game. So even simply a ladder. So anyway, it did give me another insight into the way people live their lives and more stories to tell.
Within my process, I rely heavily on experimentation. I'm attracted to materials that seem multifaceted to me. Drywall, joint compound, raw and fired clay, they all contain an ephemeral quality, and their inability to last is something that I find really vital to creating a physical articulation of a feeling like nostalgia. And that physical articulation is what I try to strive for within my work. Further, when I apply similar methods of making to all those materials, it allows for a variety of results, which gives the pieces kind of a juxtaposition or a stylistic shift between textures. And that kind of reinforces the relationships that I make with each material. I also stated in my artist statement that a very important part of my process is choosing materials that tend to break the stereotype of the female artist, like metal and concrete. I find it empowering to learn skills that may have been more suited to the stereotypical man's man, again, like working with metal or pouring concrete or cement. So by incorporating those materials and those skills in my art, I'm able to define the title of a female artist for myself.
Um, as far as the pandemic affecting my practice, I would say it really hasn't had that much effect on it, apart from the fact that I no longer have access to my studio. But on the upside, I definitely have a lot more time to work on my thesis body of work, and filming outside of my apartment has been nice since there's not really many people driving by or walking by as I film something, and I don't get any weird looks as I'm filming, so that's nice.
I consider myself to be one of the lucky ones during this pandemic because I have my health, but I'm also able to create to an extent within my home. My process has changed slightly as I am missing, the studio space as well as the tools that were available to me there. Social isolation and the period of quarantine we're currently in has affected my practice because it's allowed me to kind of focus more clearly on conceptual research. It has shown me the importance of scale for sure. It's much harder to create, an installation space or create a piece in a space that functions as a home for like 6 people. But it's been a fun challenge and it's allowed me to think outside the box a little bit more.
The pandemic I don't think it's a surprise for people, not if you're aware of what's going on in the world, but I think the surprising thing about it is the way that it has changed everybody's lives, because were we prepared for anything like this? No. So I definitely think it has affected my photography. I definitely think that I focus more on the final result, the end product, and I don't know if that's directly related to being faced with the pandemic and the death that it has caused, and there's a finality to it, and there's almost a need to produce even greater work, even down to the finite detail of everything. So I definitely think that I focus a lot on the finished product and making sure that it's polished. And definitely, how could it not affect your art? And since it affects our entire existence.
I intend to continue my studies while expanding my skill set. Location is still to be determined.
So, future goals post-graduation, I'm planning on taking some time to definitely apply for residencies before I apply for grad school, and then hopefully go to grad school, complete an MFA, and find a professorship somewhere, because the prospect of being able to work in an environment where students and I can both learn from each other is where I'd like to be in the next few years.
Currently, I have my own photography business, and I do have photography jobs. I'd like to continue to explore more in-depth areas of my business and keep it going. And I hate to call it a business because it's a pleasure to do photography. It's just a pleasure. Everything is art. Even if I'm photographing condominiums, the interior of condominiums, the exterior condominiums, their garages, it's all art, it's all creative. So I'm very fortunate in that aspect. I'm currently getting my bachelor's, but I would like to go on and get my MFA in photography. And there are a select few institutions across the United States that do offer that. I believe one of them's in New York City, one's in Chicago, and there's Cal Arts in California. I'm from California, so I was definitely checking out Cal Arts. My parents live there. My daughter's probably going to move back to California, so it's not only a personal exploration, but probably family also.